that too. Being there are men less likely to talk about certain things. They hide stuff. What happens when you hide stuff?
When you the other partner suffers because your behavior is very reactive to what you do.
All right, we're gonna get ready to go live on both aspects. You gotta leave right after this.
Yes, ma'am. Just right out.
Maybe
We'll call you on the phone on the way out.
Okay. That'll be good. I'm gonna put accountability in there too.
Accountability.
Some of that is not being accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And you make the other person be wondering,
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to figure out all this stuff, and
the other person feel like it's something wrong with them, the reason why you reacting the way you react.
That's why we really need a lot of healthy relationships. Yes, Lord. All right, we're going to get ready to go on. Pull this down just a little bit. I'm not blocking you in any type of way. Good morning. Good morning to you. It's good to be back with you on this. Good morning to you. It's good to be back with you on this lovely day. We count it another privilege and an opportunity to be here today. Hey, everything is still moving by the power of God, and we are glad and elated to be breathing his fresh air, living on his land today. And you know what? He's good. Yes, he is. But we're going to continue to talk about love and marriage today. And also we're going to talk somewhat about Black history. But we got a lot to talk about today. And I do have our favorite counselor here to help us out. So good morning to you.
Morning. How are you?
We are doing good. Hopefully our radio listeners are doing, Facebook family are doing well as well.
Yes. We hope that you're doing well.
Yes. I do want to share something from the Little Green Book this morning, and it says, "Blessed is he who have nothing to say, refrains from giving wordy evidence of the fact." I think I'll read another one. You kind of had to break that one down. "The only fool bigger than the present person, he who knows it all, is the person who argues with himself." And the thought is come from Proverbs 9:7. "He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot." What do you think about that saying there?
It's true. It's very much so true. That's what I think.
Uh-huh. So, what do you do when you run into a person that think they know it all?
What I do is I tell them they don't know everything, and then I be quiet.
Uh-huh.
I don't even bother to argue with them because they already think they know everything. And so, what can you do with a person who thinks they know everything?
And the only one person that knows everything is God.
That's right.
Nobody else. We are all part of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we glean from each other's knowledge.
That's right.
Even a child, can tell you something.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're still talking about love. We got the holiday, Valentine's Day, coming up on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we focus on love and marriage during that time.
Yes.
So, what do you have to say about this upcoming Valentine, and what are you going to do?
I am excited. Me and my husband, we're going to take our yearly Valentine's Day trip. We're going to have our weekend of dating and fun and love and bonding with each other this weekend. So I'm very excited. We're going to leave Friday and come back Sunday or Monday.
All right. And it's good to take those trips. Sometimes you just need to be poured into or pour into each other. Mm-hmm. And I realized that on the last trip I took, that I really needed to be poured into.
Yes, ma'am.
Because sometimes you can be just giving out. Mm-hmm. And if you're not taking anything back in, sometimes you can experience burnout.
That's right. That's right. And you need to be poured into and ministered to. Marriage is a ministry. Mm-hmm. God places two people together, or he puts two people together to help build his kingdom. And, and even within the marriage, we are to minister to those broken areas and heal those broken areas that we bring to the marriage. Marriage is not an institution where you just get together because you like one another or you love one another. It has a divine purpose. Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you really need to know who are you making a covenant agreement with.
Yes, ma'am.
How important it is to know that person.
It's very important. You need to know this person's past, what they've gone through, the traumas that they have gone through. You need to understand what generational curses may be in their bloodlines. You need to know their personal experiences so that you'll know how to minister to your spouse. You'll know how to heal those hurts and minister to those broken places, because those places that aren't healed are going to start to cause problems in the marriage later on.
Well, how do you get all this information? Sometimes the individual's not going to tell you a whole lot.
They should. And one way to help that individual open up is through marital counseling, or couples counseling. And some of these things should definitely come out while you're courting, while you're dating. The purpose of dating is to collect data. That's why we call it dating. So that you can get some information and learn about your mate.
So you're saying you cannot be so in love that you don't look for potential problems.
Correct. Because nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And a lot of times there are issues and traumas we know that we suffer from, but a lot of times you don't know the extent of those broken places until you get married. And the reason is because romantic relationships are the deepest way to know a person. And what they do is they bring those issues and situations to the surface so that they can be dealt with and they don't impede the marriage later on.
So it's important to really be honest, because some individuals might hide some things. Just hide that she don't need to know that, or he don't need to know that. What should you tell and should not tell?
If you think that your spouse is something your spouse does not need to know, 9 times out of 10 it is something that they need to know. Because could you be holding back because of fear of how that person is going to see you after you reveal that information? Could it be embarrassment or shame, or you feel low in your self-esteem because of what you have gone through in the past? Say, for instance, women who have gone through sexual assault or sexual molestation during their childhood often have problems connecting through physical intimacy with their husbands or their spouses. It's because sex triggers memories of that sexual trauma that they may have suffered. And so if you don't tell your husband this, and you're not ministering to his physical and his sexual needs, what happens is he's going to think something is wrong with him. He's going to think that he's the problem because you're not touching him. You're not initiating sexual contact with your spouse. And he's going to think something is wrong with him. And if you don't tell it, and then somewhere down the line, it comes out that the reason why you have problems with physical intimacy is because of sexual molestation, he's going to be angry and hurt. Because all that time, you let him think that something was wrong with him, when in essence, is you haven't healed from your past trauma. And because of that, he suffered from that.
Okay, now when it comes to really going deep like that and not being ashamed, some people are ashamed to really go deep in their intimacy or to tell certain parts of their lives. They would rather keep it a secret.
And that secret, Satan loves when we keep secrets. Because remember, he moves and he lives through deception and darkness. And so when we keep secrets, we're helping him to do his evil work through deception and darkness. Because keeping secrets and denial is darkness and deception. Because you're allowing your partner to form their own thoughts, their own opinions and assumptions about what you've been through and what's happening in that relationship.
Well, what if that person think that this might make them insecure in their relationship, since they have told things that maybe the partner might not like, but then maybe think that they've been used or something?
Now, everybody has a past. And a lot of times when a woman has been quote unquote used, that's almost always tied back to childhood sexual trauma. And if you love a person, you don't hold their past against them, because everybody have a past. You know, you don't know all of who he's been with, who your partner has been with. And so when you love somebody, you don't hold their past against them, but you allow them to heal your broken areas and you heal their broken areas.
And it's going to be hard when people they are afraid to open up. They're afraid to be vulnerable because they feel like you might use that against them, because they told you an intimate part of their life. They might feel you're going to use that against them later on.
And if that person does use that information against you, they are not your ordained spouse. They are not your God-given and God-selected spouse.
So do you think that's why sometimes men are afraid to really express themselves?
Could be, could be. You know, it's also more or less of a pride or ego thing
Mm-hmm.
with men, because they don't want to be seen as inadequate, inappropriate, and not suitable for the woman that they choose.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be suited for that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to see you. They don't want to feel unsuitable,
Mm-hmm.
and so um, that can be tough for men.
So they don't like to be vulnerable.
Right? They don't like to be vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
You know, they don't like to be seen as quote unquote weak, but it's not a weakness. It means that you are sharing information about your past because you're trying to proactively head off a potential problem that may occur later on.
Mm-hmm. Because when you really love someone, you want to cover that individual. You don't want to expose them
Mm-hmm.
and tell their intimate parts of their life.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. You know, understanding your partner. Why were they promiscuous in their past? Most of the time, it's 99% of the time, it's tied back to some childhood sexual trauma. And that person should not be blamed for that, because sexual trauma warps your understanding of yourself, other people, and your understanding about sex, especially if your first time was violent and traumatic.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right, we're going to be talking about love and marriage today, being honest, getting down to the root of the problem, unashamed, being just being open, honest. I believe if we had more honesty in relationship, we would have more better relationship instead of hiding stuff.
If we have better understanding, and reflectively listening to your partner without judgment, in your thoughts, without judgment in your feelings, and judgment in your words, people would be more comfortable talking about things, because that would open up the door to healing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we're supposed to do in marriages, is help heal those parts that were broken for so long.
So when you are ashamed to talk about certain issues, what does that say about you?
It says that, number one, you're completely unhealed, and you're controlled by what you think, what you feel other people may think.
Mm-hmm.
You're controlled by what you believe other people may think of you. That it also indicates that you're not sure of yourself, and you may not have completely discovered who you are post-trauma, after the trauma.
And you know, even in a marriage relationship, even when it comes to intimacy, maybe you like being held or talked to in a certain way, or sometimes it's even hard to share that. Why is that?
Yes. A lot of times they don't want to offend the partner when you tell your partner what you want, especially in the bedroom. Some people are afraid of offending them, but you need to talk about this, what you want in the bedroom, because your experiences may be different. One partner may be a lot more experienced than the other partner. And so you need to tell each other that. That's something I wish we would talk about in churches, because God created sex, and it's so that you can entangle with your spouse. See, the marriage isn't made in the wedding. The marriage is made through sexual contact. That's why in court, you're not truly married until you've consummated the marriage through sexual contact.
So you're saying even if an older couple get married, they're still not married until they consummate the marriage? What if they don't want to go there? They just want to, might not be physically able to go there.
There's other stuff they can do. Yes.
All right.
You know, if it's in the mind to do, and they have the desire to do it, God can work with that too.
Yeah.
You know.
So there are ways of being intimate,
Mm-hmm.
and connecting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Just being honest and
Mm-hmm.
unashamed, and not to be angry because you're not opening up. Some
Mm-hmm.
people might be angry because they're not able to get to that place that they want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or
Mm-hmm.
being closer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's other things that you can do. But you need to talk to your partner and tell your partner what you want, what you expect when it comes to sexual intimacy. But there should be a build up to the sexual intimacy. The emotional intimacy needs to be in place first, because you've got to be able to trust your partner. You've got to be committed to your partner. You've got to love your partner and respect your partner. And that person has to do the same for you.
That's true. And that's good, because sometimes people just want to go straight onto the bedroom, hadn't connected emotionally. Maybe the one needs some help in the house, and they didn't get the help that they need. And sometimes that affects things in the bedroom.
It sure does. It sure does. Because your partner is not going to be interested in sexual intimacy with you if they don't feel like you care about them, or you love them, or if they don't feel that you're concerned about them.
They need that care and that love. And you mentioned physical touch the other time we were on. Touch without wanting just to have sex. Touch with care and feeling.
Right. Sometimes you just want to hug your partner. You want to cuddle with them. You want to kiss them. You know, that needs to be there. Holding hands when you're in public, and, you know, showing behaviors that indicate affection. Words of affirmation. Oh, I love you. You so handsome. You so pretty. You my boo. You know, we're going to be together forever. Saying sweet nothings to your partner. That is what gets you ready and helps build up to the sexual intimacy. Giving that person what they need mentally and emotionally. Having their back. You know, things like that build up to it.
Because women like to be talked to in their mind.
Yes.
Their mind like to be ministered to.
Yes. I tell couples often, especially the husbands, you have to make love to the mind of a woman first in order for her to make love to you physically. Now, I don't mean in a deceptive, manipulative fashion. I mean just really pouring into her, making her feel like a woman, the most beautiful thing in the world. Letting her know, hey, my eyes are for you. You the only thing I want. You the only thing I'm looking at. You know, you got my heart. Stuff like that. Reassure her, making her feel safe and secure. If you do that, you have made love to her mind and her emotions, and then she can give you what you need physically.
Women like talk. I can attest to that. We like talk.
We do. That's why we can date a less attractive man if he talk to us right. Whereas men need a woman to be attractive completely, and then he worries about how she speaks later.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Ladies, y'all, maybe y'all should have a man and y'all, with you so you come back some of these things you're saying. I want to go back to something you said at first. You know, you mentioned people who think they know everything. I think sometimes we say they think they know everything because they know more about what they're talking about, or don't want to agree with what we're talking about. But again, men, you and I think you're supposed to talking about what happens after marriage, not when people first, young people initiate or getting married, 18 to 20 years old. Things you're always talking about what you learn after you're married. But
hold on, Ms. Rama, let our counselor address that. Hold on.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the question.
he was saying that we are talking about things after people are married, but how can we better maybe start talking to our young people about relationships, how to have healthy relationships?
Good question. What we have to do is really that starts with the parents, because we get our first lesson on how to interact with people in the world from our parents or our families of origin. The relationship between a child and a parent is the foundational relationship for all the other relationships. You know, we have to talk to them about love, trust, commitment, loyalty, and respect. We have to teach them about those 5 elements of a healthy relationship so that they would know what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like, what it's supposed to be like, even if they've never seen a healthy relationship, healthy marriage in their families or in their communities before. We have to teach them what that looks like. Not only that, we have to teach them how to date appropriately, what questions to ask. You know, how do you ask those questions? And then how to reflectively listen to the person that you're interested in. We have to teach young men how to approach young ladies. You know, being respectful, being attentive, being caring, simple things like, okay, they're teenagers in high school, and you know, simply helping her carry her books to class. You know, helping her put her jacket on, and teaching girls on how to listen. Men want to be heard. They want to know that you hear them and see them. Being attentive to how they think, how they feel, you know, and what they need.
And you're so right. And a father is the first relationship that a daughter will experience as far as the male counterpart. A father is setting the example. You know, I like what Mr. Jake Yates does at Father Child's Ministry. They have fathers and daughter date. It's kind of like teaching them how you ought to be treated. And that's imperative, because some people don't understand how they should be treated and just sometimes accept anything because of low self-esteem. Have not been built up in what to expect, that they are valuable. They don't have to take no junk, don't have to take no name calling. Person call you a name, somebody said, who you talking to? You're not talking to me. That's not my name.
Exactly. The first time you get called out your name, that's a sign to leave that relationship, because it's going to move from a verbal attack to later on a physical attack, because you have many different types of abuse: physical abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, and they all occur at different levels and in steps. Usually verbal abuse is the start of all the other ones. If you don't get out in time, it's going to elevate from verbal to emotional, from emotional to physical, and then from physical to sexual, and so forth.
And sometimes the children pick up that same spirit of abusing their mates because they have experienced that in the home. Sometimes, not all the time, but that's what they have seen. And a lot of things carry a spirit. You know, that spirit want to transfer on down.
That's right. It you know, evil spirits or demons hunt us down, especially the ones that are attached to our bloodlines, because they've been there so long, they think they have the legal rights to the next generation. And so we have to work on breaking those curses so it doesn't pass down to the next generation, such as divorce. You know, being careful in how you select a mate, going to God in prayer. Go to him first and allow him to select your mate for you.
Because he's not going to make a mistake.
That's right.
You can be blindsided by these feelings. And you think you're in love. You can't live without this person. Somebody said when you're dating, you feel like you can eat the person. But after you start having a problem, you wish you had ate it. So we have to be realistic and honest about relationships.
Yes.
Let me go back to Mr. Robert and I'll come right back.
Okay.
WTWG, Mr. Robert.
Yes, ma'am. And another thing about me, observation, I find that we like to talk to people that agree with us too. And sometimes it's hard for two people to agree on everything the other one says. But again, marriage is, I've been married 3 times, and neither one was perfect. And I didn't leave kissing anybody killed me. But to say that a person sees the person that they have and don't want anybody else. Now, they may not always go there, but no man has ever, or woman, I believe, ever saw one person that they couldn't like somebody else. I mean, they don't go there. In other words, we control our emotions, but we can't help how we feel as a people, in my opinion. So again, young people, when you get married the first time, it's a different as opposed to getting married a second or third time. Because those are things that you don't even think about when you're young. I've been young for a long time. When I was young, you can't even think about those things which you as the counselor are talking about now.
Hold on, Mr. Robert. Well, we need to think about these things. That's what don't happen. We don't have a lot of teaching.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
We don't teach it, and it's almost not taught in churches at all. But that should be the first place, the very place. Marriage and courtship, teachings about that should be.
You could avoid a lot of problems down the road. A lot of heartache and a lot of hurt because if you don't know how to pray and ask the Lord to give you the right mate, a lot of times you end up making up the choice yourself. And we don't know the person experience. We don't know what they've been through. And a lot of times when things are not discussed, people perish for the lack of knowledge.
That's right. That's right. Why are we so skittish about talking about marriage and sex in churches?
And to the young people.
Especially.
Talking to them about relationships. I guess they feel that maybe some feel that maybe that's another ministry altogether. But still, it's part of the Bible. It's part of the Bible because Jesus talked about it, fornication and marriage, leaving and cleaving.
That's right.
And that was one of the first institutions that was developed. Was the marriage institution.
That's right. It was the first.
It was the first one. And it's still the first one. The marriage institution.
That's right.
That God ordained.
That's right.
So we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it because when we don't talk about things will get worse and worse. And we shouldn't be ashamed as long as we're not going too far out left field. Keep it in the guidelines of what the Lord says. We should talk about it.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
So he talked a lot of things in the Bible people don't even know that the Lord talked about it.
That's right.
Yes,
ma'am. First Corinthians chapter 7 talks about love and marriage. It says that we should not refrain from meeting our partner's sexual needs unless it's for the reason of fasting and prayer. Because the purpose of the sex is to keep the wife and the husband as one, entangled as one.
Okay, now what if you got some underlying issues going on? Should you just get in bed and expect sex to cover that, or
no, ma'am.
Okay, let's talk about that.
No, ma'am, not at all. If there are some issues that's hindering your sexual intimacy, there needs to be a conversation. And if you can't come to an agreement in the conversation where both parties are satisfied in that conversation, seek a marriage counselor so that marriage counselor can do a full assessment, an individual assessment of both of you, and a marriage assessment to see if there are some underlying issues that you're not seeing that's causing that separation between the two of you.
Because you cannot see behind your back.
That's right.
Sometimes you need that intervention in there to make it better. A negotiator. between the two.
That's right.
So getting those underlying issues out of the way can produce better marriages, especially if there has been a loss of trust. And sometimes people don't build the trust to the level that they did the distrust. They did the distrust, but they just want you to just individual just say get over it and all of that. But the trust has not been rebuilt.
That's right. That's right. I like that. Can you repeat that one more time?
I said sometimes a person might have done something that was horrendous, but they don't come back and make up a lot for what they have done. And they just want the person to just get over it and move on. But if you did some horrific things, take the time to really love that person and show them how much you love them.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, when you betray a person, or their trust in you or confidence in you is broken, please understand that is a form of emotional abuse. Although it may have been unintended to be abuse, that's what it's going to feel like for that person. And so it's going to take them some time to heal. But understand, you won't be able to dictate how soon they get over it or heal from it. So anytime that person is pulling back from you, you need to check in with them. Say, okay, honey, I noticed that you're pulling back from me. What's going on? Talk to me. And then you listen, and then you minister to what that person needs in that moment to move past that moment and come back into you, or get back together with you in their emotions.
Connecting spiritually is so important, to connect spiritually.
That's right.
You know, not just physically, but when you can bring both together, you know, you can have some harmony, a beautiful picture of marriage.
Yes. And you know, and I've seen some couples come back from some horrific things, but it took them working together, asking God to let them remember the love that they have for each other as they do their individual work to improve their marriage. And 90% of the time, if both people are doing their individual therapy on the side, in addition to couples therapy, what happened is the marriage will improve on its own, because it's usually the individual issues that's causing a rift in the marriage.
And what about if the person don't really want to put the work into it? You know, let me grab this call. We're going to come back to that comment.
Okay.
Good morning, caller, WTWG.
Yes, ma'am. I got this other line. This is going to be the last comment I'm going to make. And I want to ask you ladies, I've known friends who grew up with me, and after about 25 or 30 years, they don't even sleep together. You call them, and when they're young, you call them, they'll pass the phone to the other. But when they get 60, 70 years old, you call them, they say, wait, let me call them, get the phone, they're in the other room. How does that affect is a later marriage is different from an early marriage? But why do you think that happened? Let me ask. And I want to say good morning to the mystery caller who listens out there to me. And I'm going to listen on the line. I'm not going to call back. But I want to know about why do they stop sleeping together after they've been together 25 or 30 years or more?
All right, Mr. Robert.
Most people that I've talked with, not all, I'm talking about the most ones that I've been friends with from boyhood, and then they got married, and then after they get to be 50, 60 years old, they don't sleep in the same room anymore.
All right, Mr. Robert, we'll address that.
Okay, if they're not sleeping in the bedroom together, that means they have some unresolved conflict. That means there's some unresolved, ongoing conflict that's probably been going on for years. Even if they have health issues that causes them not to be as sexually intimate as they would like to, that's totally separate from you sleeping in the same bed with the person or not sleeping in the same bed. If they're not in the bed, sleeping in the same bed, it has nothing to do with the sexual intimacy. That means there is some conflict going on and some anger that has not been resolved. They really don't like each other. They may love each other, which is the reason why they still may be in the marriage, but they don't like each other.
Okay, I know of a situation where one of the partners snores really bad, and one said that they had to be in order to get some sleep and some rest.
That means that individual more than likely has sleep apnea, which causes that snoring. That means you need to commit yourself to going to the doctor, having a sleep study done and an assessment done so that you can get some medical treatment for that snoring or that sleep apnea. It's just like a man that can't get an erection for his wife. Usually that indicates some blood pressure problems. There may be some emotional or psychological distress that needs to be medically treated so that he can get an erection. Same thing for a woman. If our hormones are off, that means our libidos are going to be reduced. I have the responsibility to go to the doctor and seek medical treatment so that won't keep us from being sexually intimate.
Okay, we got another caller. Good morning, caller, WTWG.
I'm sorry, I dialed the wrong number.
Say that again. Oh, maybe she dialed by mistake. Back in the day on TV, you would see couples sleeping in separate beds, but I guess to prevent or present a picture of being sexually active together, so they will put them in separate beds. But you're right, to work through any necessary thing that you can work through so that you can sleep together.
Yes. If I love my husband. So if it's something keeping us from being together physically and emotionally, we're gonna work it out. We're gonna figure out, we're gonna get to the root of it. If it's something medical, we're gonna go to those doctor's appointments with each other together and do something about it.
What if you get to the age and you say, hey, there are no issues here, I just like being alone now, or he likes being alone to himself late at night? There are no issues between you all. You all agree on that.
When you say being alone,
not alone, but maybe in another bedroom.
In another bedroom, something is very much wrong with that. Okay, so? That is unnatural for a couple, a married couple who say they love each other, wanting to sleep in separate beds. If there's no snoring going on or nothing that prevents the both of you from getting any rest at night. Why does he want to be alone? Why does she want to be alone at night? What is that about? Let's talk about that. What's behind it? Is it something psychological or is it something physical? What is it? That is completely unnatural.
You think so? 662-328-1050. If someone would like to comment on that, if a couple decide together, I want just time to read, and you might not want to read, you might not want the light on, and I want just a long time to myself, and you want your alone time to watch a certain television show. Okay. Maybe the spouse don't want the TV on at night, so sometimes they might agree or disagree to agree.
Okay. Well, in those cases, I understand that. But okay, see, I don't sleep with the TV on. Say, for example, I don't sleep with the TV on, but my husband likes the TV on. So what he does is I drift off to sleep, and he'll watch TV, but he makes sure he turns that TV off so it doesn't disrupt my rest. That's what we agreed on. Yeah, stay up and watch TV if you want to. But so that it doesn't disrupt my rest over in the night, just make sure you turn it off the moment you realize you're about to fall asleep. And that's what's worked for us for 12 years.
Wow. All right, we got Love Day coming up Saturday. And, it's a beautiful thing when you see older couples still holding hands. I remember the pastor, he was talking about one thing when he met his wife. He liked his wife. They became friends before they, like fell in love and got married. And he said later on they were still holding hands at the age of 80 years old, and they were still friends. That was Bishop Rudolph McKissick's father.
I love that. My husband and I have been together 13 years. Almost, it'll be 13 years in May, but we've been married almost 12 years in July, and we still hold hands, and hug each other, even in public, because that's our love language, physical touch. And two, and when we do it, people often smile at us in public, and we've had people to tell us they appreciate us showing that, because it gives them hope that they will find a mate, somebody to care for them, somebody they can love.
And like you were saying earlier when you first came on, that marriage is a ministry, showing the love of God, letting the Lord to be glorified in your marriage. That gives others hope because it was ordained of God.
That's true. Yeah.
I understand you had something on Black history. And we're going to do that, and we're going to come back to this, and then we're going to get ready to close out. I do have this book, The Love Dare. Pastor Michael and I will continue to talk about marriage on tomorrow.
All right.
And it says, before you see your spouse again today, pray for them by name and for their need. Whether it comes easy for you or not, say, I love you. Then express love to them in some tangible way. Go to God in prayer again, thanking Him for giving you the privilege of loving this one special person unconditionally the way He loves both of you. This is coming from the Love Dare book.
I love that.
So did you have a Black history?
Yes.
Comment, and then we'll come back to this and we'll get ready to close out.
All right. So this morning, let's learn some information, some Black history information about Mary Fields, better known as Stagecoach Mary. And we've heard about Stagecoach Mary, throughout history. And if you're familiar with the recent movie, The Harder They Fall, her character was portrayed in that movie. And Mary Fields was born in 1832. In all the West, Mary Fields had no equal. She was 6 foot 200 pounds. She was a 6 foot 200 pound cigar smoking, gun toting pioneer who settled her arguments with her fist and once in a while with her 6-shooter. The folks around Cascade, Montana knew her as a freight hauler, laundress, restaurant owner, and the second female ever to drive a U.S. mail coach. Second female ever to drive a U.S. mail coach. She was the first African-American woman to actually drive the U.S. mail coach. She was born a slave on May 15, 1832. A free spirit, she decided that slavery was not for her, and she ran away to Toledo, Ohio. She found work in a convent and formed a close attachment to Mother Amadeus. When the sisters headed to Montana to undertake the monumental task of Christianizing Indian tribes, Mary remained in Toledo. En route, Mother Amadeus fell seriously ill with pneumonia, and Mary undertook the hazardous journey to her friend's bedside. All right. Because of the extreme cold, Mary dressed like a man except for a long dress and apron she wore over a pair of men's pants. This covering for her 200-pound plus frame made her an unforgettable sight to behold. On at least 2 memorable occasions, she engaged in warfare with men of the area. Once a neighborhood derelict made a face and other certain insulting gestures at her. She adorned his face with a stone. That means she hit him in the face with a stone. And he was last seen flying towards another direction.
Wow.
Mary was a bad girl, I tell you.
Oh, my goodness.
She was a bad girl, but she died in 1914 and was mourned by the entire population of Cascade, Montana. The exploits of Mary Fields are legendary, and legends never die.
How old was she when she passed away?
Let's see. She was 1832 and 1914. What's the difference between that?
32 and 14.
Mm-hmm. About 80 something.
Yeah, she probably was 80 something.
Mm-hmm. She was in her 80s from 1832 to 1914.
Mm-hmm.
She was a bad girl, I tell you.
Let me grab this call right here. WTWG.
Yeah, no, you were thinking about another, but Miss Kenya, that she was born in slavery, not you're not born slave. She was born in slavery. You have to be made a slave or born in slavery. Just like a person can't be born in religion, they're born in their religious family. But I want to ask you a question. The question, Miss Kenya, you don't have to answer. Is the 13 years that's your first marriage?
Yes.
How about your husband?
No.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to get ready to count it down, but remember your spouse on this coming Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Do something good. You know, we know we should do it all the year, but now ladies are doing something for the men as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
They are. Yes, that's why we love to go out of town. You know, we do special things for each other. You know, and if we don't go out of town, what I usually do is cook a nice dinner for my husband. I grill some salmon and shrimp for him and some sausage links, and I fix him some really good tasty sides. He loves deviled eggs, and he loves baked beans and asparagus. And so I usually do a nice dinner for him, but this time we're going to do dinner out of town.
All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to about do it for us. Our time is up. We appreciate your radio listeners. And if the Lord said the same, we'll do it again next time. If he says the same, we believe he will, unless something comes up. Y'all have a great day and stay tuned for more great gospel music. Don't forget, happy Valentine's Day. And also we got Black History this month as well.
All right. Until next week, see ya.
Bless you. God bless you.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me finish this right here.
Let him work it for you.